Hi everybody, Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT, so you can move past the basic recipe, so you can master the art of delivery. You'll learn how to find root causes faster, clear issues quicker, and have longer lasting results with your tapping. I just wanted to give you a quick reminder before we jumped into today's show that we are still doing the 30-day tapping challenge in the month of November. And even though we're a couple of weeks into the month, you can still participate. It's absolutely free. We have over 1,000 people joining us, and it's less than 5 minutes of tapping a day. But the feedback has just been really tremendous. People talking about breakthroughs and how it is setting up their day. You can participate absolutely free. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/30-day. That's tappingqa.com/30-day. And every single morning, you will receive an email. It's a really short reminder. Basically, it's just the topic, the link. You click on it, you tap for 5 minutes, and it is going to set up your day to be so much better with just a tiny little tapping to start your day. tappingqa.com/30-day. This is Gene Monterostelli. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 487, originally aired November 11th, 2020. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we're going to talk about and tap for making choices without having to justify those choices. And that will make a little more sense in just a moment. Before we do that, I would just like to thank all of the supporters of the Tapping Q&A podcast. Because of a little craziness at the beginning of the month, I wasn't able to take care of it until this week. But every single month, 10% of the money that comes in to support the podcast is actually deposited on Kiva. Kiva is a microloan site where we are able to loan money to small business owners all over the world. And the really neat thing is after those loans are paid back, we get to loan it out again. So between the new support over the course of the last month and the loans that have been repaid, I've just got the really awesome experience of supporting 12 small business owners all over the world. And so everybody who is supporting the podcast, I want to thank you so much. Reading the stories of these small business owners who are just trying to find simple, small things so that they can take care of their families as widows, as small business owners. It's really cool to know that this community is supporting people all over the world. If you would like to receive a bunch of amazing bonuses, support the podcast, and continue our work as we support small business owners all over the world, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/support. That's tappingqa.com/support for all of the information. And once again, I just want to thank everyone who is voluntarily supporting the podcast. Years and years ago, I was having a conversation with my friend Jesse. And Jesse was talking about a personal development training that he had done in the late 90s. And he was talking about a particular exercise. And I've heard this exercise used lots and lots of places. But the exercise basically was, as a participant, you were asked, do you want chocolate or vanilla ice cream? And you would make a choice. And then you'd be asked why. And the moment you started justifying your choice, the person facilitating the exercise would stop you and start over again. Do you want chocolate or vanilla? After you made a choice, why? And if you started justifying, they would stop you. Because when they asked why in this particular exercise, the answer they were looking for was, because I choose. So if you chose chocolate ice cream and you say, why? It's because I choose chocolate. And at the root of the exercise was this idea of needing to justify our choices. And those of us who spend any time in personal development are thinking about the choices that we're making and why we're making those choices. So much so that even when we are making choices that are quote unquote unhealthy, we're justifying it and saying it's good for me to let my hair down. It's good for me to splurge a little bit. It's good for me to try something new. As if we have to have a reason why to do those sorts of things. And as been documented over the course of the last couple of weeks, October was a really hard month for me. The world caught up with me. It ran me down. We don't need to relitigate all of that, but it was hard. And because of a lot of choices that I've made over the course of the last 10 days, because of things that are going on in the world, I certainly feel significantly better than I did. I did some personal development stuff. I snuck home and spent a couple of days in Wyoming with my family and have been feeling so much better. And yesterday, I made a choice to simply stop working at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I didn't justify it. I didn't say, I've been working really hard and I need a break, or I need to give my brain the rest so that I can be creative in these new tasks that are coming up over the course of the week. I simply chose to stop working and take a nap, watch a movie, take a walk, had some nice food, and just took the rest of the day for myself without justification, simply because it was the thing that I wanted to choose. Now, I recognize that I am fortunate insofar as I have enough control over my life that I could make that choice. That there are lots of you, I'm sure, who are listening to this, who simply do not have the opportunity at 3:30 in the afternoon to just stop working for the day because of the nature of who you work for, how you work, how you're compensated. I understand that there was some privilege in that. But I think it's really important that we put ourselves in a position where we are making choices simply because we want to make them without having to give justification, without justifying them to other people or without justifying them to ourselves. Simply making a choice because it is the thing that we want. And I think it's just as important, again, for those of us who are really steeped in personal development, constantly doing this work, giving ourselves permission not to have a reason for making those things that is for a higher good or is justifiable, but we're simply making the choice because we are making the choice. And so that's what we're going to do a little tapping for today, is giving ourselves permission to make the choices that we want to make simply because we want to make them, and do it in such a way where we don't have to feel like we're justifying what we're doing. So tap along with me, tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath, move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. I recognize the fact there's a part of me that wants to make good, thoughtful choices. Choices that line up with my vision. Choices that line up with my mission. Choices that line up with who I want to be in the world. I'm glad I take responsibility for my choices. I'm glad that I want to make thoughtful choices. I'm glad I want to make deliberate choices. At the exact same time, I don't have to justify all of my choices. I don't have to explain all of my choices. I don't even need to have a good reason for making the choices that I am making. I am allowed to make choices simply because I am making that choice. I am allowed to choose simply because I want the choice I am making. I don't need a good explanation. I don't need to explain why. I don't have to justify it to anyone else. I don't have to justify it to myself. I have to take responsibility for my choices. I have to take responsibility for the consequences of my choices. But they are just my choices. And I can make them because I want to make them. This does not mean I am thoughtless. This does not mean that I'm careless. This does not mean that I'm reckless. It only means I am making a choice because I want to make that choice. It is my life. I get to choose to do what I want to do, and I get to craft it in the way that I want to craft it. I give myself permission to make the choices that I want to make without having to justify them to anyone else. Nice big deep breath. And I can just tell, even though I don't know where you are and I don't know when you are listening to this, but I could just tell that there was tension that was showing up in your body, probably showing up in your chest when you were saying the phrases, and I don't have to justify these choices. I don't have to justify them to myself. I don't have to justify them to others, because we're so conditioned to wanting to make good choices. And the part of making a good choice is being able to explain the fact that it was and it is a good choice. And it doesn't have to be justified. I'm simply allowed to do things because I want to do them. I think of the television, the movies that I consumed over this past weekend. None of them made my life better because they made me think about the world in a new, different way. All of them I actually watched were things I'd seen before. But I just chose to do them because I chose to do them. It was what I wanted to do. And you are allowed to do the exact same thing in your life. So if you felt that tension in your chest, if you felt that resistance saying that I have to justify what I'm doing to make sure that it is the right choice, go back, tap along to this again, download this one, put it in a place where you can listen to it every single day for the next 4 or 5 days. Just really get yourself clear around this sense of feeling like it has to be that way. If you know someone in your life who could use this sort of encouragement and could use a tap along like this, please be our ambassador. Pass it along. Don't spam your inbox and send it to everybody in the world. But you might know 1 or 2 people whose day would be made brighter by sending them this tap along. And even if they don't tap along to it, if you send 2 people an email today saying, hey, I was thinking of you, I think this will make your day better. Even if they don't use the resource, the simple fact that you reached out to them, letting them know that you're thinking of them and you want better for them, is actually something that will probably make their day even before they click the link, even before they hit play. Reach out to someone, tell them that you're thinking about them today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe in podcasting parlance is always free. You can find the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, literally anywhere you get audio. If you just search Tapping Q&A, you'll find the show. Once you find it, click subscribe, click follow, click whatever the button is inside of the app of choice. Turn on those notifications so that every single week when a new podcast comes out, you get a notification so you don't miss it, so you can really enjoy the work and continue to have transformation in your life. If you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to cover in the future, I always love hearing from you. The really cool thing about this year's 30-Day Tapping Challenge is every topic was a recommendation from a listener and a reader just like you. If you'd like us to cover something in the podcast in the future, reach out, Gene, Gene, at tappingqa.com. Or if you're in the website, click on that contact link. Or if you've downloaded the free Tapping Q&A app, click on the contact link inside of the app. From the app, you can send me an email. You can send me a voice memo. If you haven't downloaded the app, do that too. It's available for Android and Apple devices. Inside of it, not only do you have all of the audios, but you've written out scripts that you can access anytime you want. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli and Tapping Q&A.